Welcome back to the channel. Today I want to do a follow-up video to the last video, which was explaining my max effort days. And today we're going to take a quick look at the dynamic effort days. And specifically in today's video, we're going to be looking at the dynamic upper body session. Since I just did that earlier today, I thought what better time than to run you through what I'm doing with that particular day of the week. Unlike the max effort days where it's all about going as hard as you can, trying to beat the number that you've previously set, with the dynamic effort days, it is completely different focus. What we're trying to do is go with lighter weights, moving them much quicker. So today, or these sessions are all about moving weight fast. We want to be making each rep really snappy. We don't want to be grinding them out. Whereas on the other days, that's what we're trying to really aim for, is to really learn to strain against the weight. So these days are a little bit different, and I set them out again differently to how you may see other people do it, but this works really well for me. If you're training for something, maybe it's, you're training for the bench press, it might look a little bit different to this. So what I do with my session at the moment is I start off with a primer exercise. So the purpose of this exercise here is to really fire up my nervous system and get everything ready for the work to come. I have found, for me personally, I do really well once my nervous system is fired up and it's ready to go. Then the rest of the work to come feels much easier to do. What I've got here is an isometric strict press. So I'll go 4 sets of 6 seconds. So all I'm doing is setting up the barbell in the rack as though I would do a normal overhead press. And I've set the pins, or the safety slings. Actually, I've got them set up. I'll show you right now. So I've got the safety slings, these things here, set up so that when I press, these come up and lock and the bar doesn't go any higher. So I'm pressing as hard as I possibly can against an immovable object. You might be thinking, well, what's the purpose of doing that? You can actually produce more force when you press against something that doesn't move. So it allows you to basically train your nervous system to put out more force and to light up those muscle fibers a lot more intensely. That's why I put it first. It is very taxing if you overdo them, hence why I've only got 4 sets. They're only 6 seconds, so it's over really quickly. But you're straining and you're pushing as hard as you can for that 6 seconds, which when you're doing it, feels like a long time. But after it really gets your nervous system fired up so that everything else is much easier. Following that, what I do is my dynamic work here. So what I've got at the moment is log press. I'll go 9 sets of 3 every minute on the minute at roughly 45%. Now these are light weights. Again, we're not trying to break any records here. We're just trying to move weight really quickly. And with the log press, it's really just about building technique. So it's really working on your push press. So if you're going to push press the log, you're just literally doing rep after rep after rep. It's good practice. It's a good chance to use a lighter weight that you can easily manage and really practice that form and get them nice and quick, so that when you do come time to actually doing it in the competition, it's like a walk in the park. It feels like something that you've done a million times because you have done it. Number 2, I've got a dumbbell floor press. So pressing in the horizontal plane, 9 sets of 3 every 30 seconds. So this is a little bit different to the first one. We're not having to rest as much. We're going much quicker pace through this. It doesn't take very long to do this. So you do 3 reps, 1, 2, 3. You rest for the remainder of the 30 seconds, and then you go again. So it's a pretty quick turnover with that movement. And what I'm doing here with the loading wise is roughly 40% of my max bench press with dumbbell weight. So splitting the two across the 2 dumbbells. So if it was 100 kilos and I go 40%, that would be 40 kilos. And then I would split that across 2. So I'd have 20 kilos in each hand. And then each week I look to increase the weight on the dumbbell. So I'll go to the next dumbbell up, and mine go up in 2.5 kilo jumps. So I'd go 2.5 kilos more. The same with the log press. So the percentages go up 5% each week for 3 weeks. And then we change the variation. So we'll go up 5%. So you're still working with relatively light weights. It doesn't get super duper heavy with these days. Okay, so following the dynamic work, then I go into assistance. So assistance is really there to help build these movements as well, and to pick up any weak points. So much like with the max effort days, Your assistance work is really important because if you have weak points, this is where you address them. And with conjugate, it requires a little bit more knowledge about where your weak points are. You're then spending time working on building those up and making sure that those weak points aren't a problem, they aren't a roadblock. In fact, they're now a strength. So that's where this work comes in. So I've got barbell rows, 4 sets of 8, working relatively heavy here. Now we can move some weight. They're not really going to tax you too much to the point where you're going to feel absolutely dead after these sessions. Then moving on from that, really simple dumbbell rows, so breaking it down to each arm individually, so making sure there's no difference between the right and the left. So dumbbell row and then dumbbell skull crushers, 4 sets of 8 to 10. With these ones in particular, I like to do the rollback variations with my hands coming all the way back, roll it forward and then extend the arms. If your triceps are nice and strong, chances are your overhead press is going to go up quite a lot. So it makes sense to add a lot of tricep work at this point in the workout. Then we're finishing off with some chin-ups, 3 sets of 8. I add weight to these. You don't have to. Sometimes I'll do body weight depending on how I'm feeling when I get up to this. And then dips. So just on the dip bars, not the bench dips. These are really, really great to help build up the overhead pressing strength as well. If there's one thing that I've found really starts to build up my overhead press, it's doing lots of dips and starting to add weight to those every time you're doing them. So getting really strong on the dips will mean that anytime you're pressing above your head, it's going to feel much, much easier. So in a nutshell, that is my dynamic effort upper body session. I'll be doing another video on the dynamic effort lower body session, which is much the same sort of thing. We're working with lighter weights and we're trying to move that weight as fast as we possibly can. Not about trying to, lift the heaviest weight that we possibly can. That's what the max effort days are for. Hopefully that was helpful. If you did get some good ideas out of this, or you want to know any more about this program and how I've set it out, just ask those questions down below. Guys, thanks so much for watching. If you got some value out of this, do me a favor, like the video as well as subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you next time.